Hey everyone, this is PM Sport Talk, the father and son duo podcast. I'm your host Preston, alongside my father Mike and Dad. How are we doing today?
Hey, I'm doing great. Man, there's a lot going on in the world of sports this weekend. I can't wait to get into it. Let's go.
Let's go. So if you're a regular listener of this podcast, you know we usually, at this time of the year, we usually start with college football, then go into NFL, and that's the drill. But we're not doing that today. We're starting with the MLB because that's biggest scumbag on the face of the earth, Juan Soto, made his decision yesterday in free agency, and that was between money and being a great legend, a great player, and an icon for the Yankees. And he chose the money. He chose $5 million more to go to the Mets on a 15-year, $765 million contract.
Absolutely crazy money. I knew it was coming down. Everybody knew it was coming down to the Mets and the Yankees. And what I didn't think was going to happen, I didn't think if the Yankees and Mets were close that he would leave the Yankees. And he left. And that's just crazy. He left the greatest franchise in professional sports history to go to the New York Mets. I don't understand. It's just mind-boggling to me that $760 million from the Yankees. I mean, that is crazy money. I never thought they would go that high. And the fact that they did, it's more shocking that he left. And like you said, it's an extra year, one less year from the Mets, and a little bit more money. So what it comes out to is a little over $50 million per year from the Mets. And if it was from the Yankees, it would have been about $48 million a year for 16 years. And I guess the big thing was because he's a Scott Boras, and if you guys know anything about baseball, Scott Boras is the big-time agent. It's all about, he's a great agent. He gets the most money for his players, so you got to give him credit. But it's not about team. It's not about legacy. It's not about any of that. It's about money and money only with him. And they wanted to make sure that the average salary got over $50 million. And I don't know why. Who cares if it's $48 million or $50 million? When you have $760 or $765 million, does it really matter?
He went from one of the most loved players, one of the most least controversial players, to now probably going to be one of the most hated MLB players in the league by mostly Yankees fans, of course, but some people too, because, a lot of fans, they don't like it when players are money hungry and they're bag chasing, as they say.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what he did here. It's exactly what he did. He was just in a World Series with the Yankees. Now, of course, you take that World Series with a grain of salt because of what happened in that World Series.
Still got there,
that's what I'm trying to say. You still got to that World Series. You still had a chance to win it. You didn't win this year, and you have a chance to run it back with the Yankees and go on that mission with Aaron Judge, who you created a great bond with. You became one of the best duos the sport has ever seen in one season. And you leave for some money to go play with your little butt buddy, Francisco Lindor, in the other side of New York. So you know what, Juan Soto? Have fun with the Mets. That's all I got to say. Because let's be honest here. The Mets were in the NLCS last year, but they got swept by the Dodgers. And I'm going to be honest, the Dodgers are going to be in that picture a lot. So if it comes down to the Mets playing the Dodgers, I'm taking the Dodgers 9 out of 10 times. And rather in the AL, where you can go with the Yankees, and obviously you're still going to play some tough competition, but you have a better chance of winning there than the Mets is what I'm trying to get out here.
Absolutely. He's got the Dodgers as a super team, And he's got Braves who are going to be back next year.
Yep. Acuna's back next year.
Yeah.
Don't forget about that.
They had a ton of injuries.
The Mets do not have a cakewalk to that division even.
They're not even going to be favored in their own division.
Yeah.
I mean, you got the Mets and you got the Braves and the Phillies.
Phillies are always good every year.
And the Mets pitching, unless they do something crazy, which I don't expect them to do, their starters are worse this year than they were last year.
They just lost Severino to Oakland, so it's going to be even worse.
I mean, they signed Clay Holmes to be a starter, and they got Montas, who's been nothing but horrible.
And you don't know what Clay Holmes will do as a starter. It's a big risk.
Yeah, and so
I'm gonna say the only good starter I see on that team is Sean Manaea.
I don't think he's coming back.
Or he's a free agent this year, isn't he?
Yeah, they get Senga,
Senga,
who was their best pitcher.
He's good, but
he's coming off injury, so you don't know.
I mean, you have one good pitcher in your rotation right now.
And
maybe two if Manaea comes back, but
you got a lot of question marks there, and the Yankees even paying for Soto, I think we're going to be a better team this year than they were last year.
Now that we're on the talk though, I'm done. We're done dreading over Juan Soto. We're flipping the page here. If you're a Yankees fan, what is your dream scenario for that $760 million on the table for Juan Soto? It's not there anymore, or it's there still because he went to the Mets. What do you want? I'm gonna start off here because we're both Yankees fans, so we can comment on this. I say your main priority is to go out there and get Corbin Burnes. That should be priority number one. Make a run at Corbin Burnes. If you get him in that rotation with Garrett Cole, I really like what I'm going to see.
Well, I think that's what they're going to do. They are the front runner to get Burnes.
And then
they got to get a first baseman or a third baseman.
You need one infielder. So your options there, third baseman. As much as Yankees fans probably hate him, he's on the market now. You can go pick up Alex Bregman.
He's right there. There's a good chance they're going after him. There's also a good chance the Mets are going after him too. So that could be another war. I mean, it won't be like Soto. They're not going to bid high for Bregman, but
obviously
they're going to be competing. Obviously, but with a bunch of other teams. So, and he's just the funny thing is, it's very weird because Corbin Burnes is a Scott Boras client.
Is he?
Alex Bregman is a Scott Boras client. Pete Alonso is a Scott Boras client. How does that all work? I have no idea. What makes me think, though, is Scott Boras is not going to want to alienate the Yankees. He's not going to push for the Mets to sign all these guys.
Yeah.
He's gonna steer some of his guys to the Yankees. So they're going to get a couple of these guys. So
the dream, obviously.
Juan Soto is an unbelievable hitter. He's probably the best hitter in the sport. But if you can get 3 or 4 other pieces, you might end up being a better team in the long run. So
that's what I'm trying to say. I've been saying that to a lot of people. Yesterday I was mad. That's all I could think about. We lost Soto. That's bad. But when I look at it, it's a new day, and I look at it with a more positive mindset. So I've been telling a lot of people that are MLB fans that, hey, if the Yankees go out and do this could help them big time. And honestly, they could be a better team than they were with Soto. And all of them are like, no way. None of them are Juan Soto. None of them will bring that to the team. You're right. None of those guys are probably Juan Soto, like his greatness, But if you get 3 or 4 guys, like you just said, you have 4 really good players on this team, and they fill a lot of holes. Meanwhile, if you sign Juan Soto for that jackload of money, then you got narrow money to work with. So the 2 guys I really want the Yankees to make a push for, like the most, is obviously I just said Corbin Burnes. I really like to see us offer Teoscar Hernandez a lot of money.
Yeah, there's a good. I mean, they're going to be going after all these guys. So.
Hernandez, I heard the 3 teams contending with him. The 3 big ones, the big 3. Red Sox, Yankees, and of course the Dodgers, because they're going to want him back.
Yeah, I mean, there's a good chance he stays with the Dodgers, but you never know, though. He might, he might want the money too. I don't know, but yeah,
there's just so much.
There's
so
a lot to do. The only thing I'll say to kind of like wrap it up a little bit on this is 2 things. One, the Yankees lost Soto. Okay, as a Yankees fan, you can't act like you didn't want him because we all did, but he left. So.
Yeah.
Brian Cashman, Hal Steinbrenner, he's gone. You have to make some moves. I don't want to see you sit and sign some guys that we never heard of, and I don't want that. You better not do that. I don't think they will. I think they're smarter than that. So they need to go out and make some splashes, at least a couple of guys, and then get some relievers or whatever,
Yeah.
And second of all, on Juan Soto himself, I'll just say this. It says a lot about him. Aaron Judge turned down more money to go to the San Diego Padres and stay with the Yankees.
Yes.
And how did he get rewarded with that? He went to a World Series. He didn't win it, but he went to a World Series.
Yeah. I mean, I'll say this. Judge got a lot of hate, or I wouldn't say hate, but a lot of disappointed Yankees fans for his performance the whole playoffs. But if you look at Aaron Judge, you look at Juan Soto, put the 2 side by side, you see loyalty with Aaron Judge. And those playoff slumps can easily be fixed.
Yeah, I mean...
It's just going to be a matter of time until he's hitting great in the playoffs. But
hey, Juan Soto was great this year, but he was also great because Aaron Judge was hitting behind him.
Right.
Go look at his stats when he played with the Padres. They were nowhere near as good.
Mm-hmm.
And... that's another thing. He's going to Citi Field. It's a bigger ballpark. He's not going to hit as many home runs. Yeah, he's still going to be good. I can't blame the Mets for doing what they did. But and one other thing I heard today was that the Yankees had the 16-year $760.
Mm-hmm.
They had that on the table before the Mets put their offer out.
Really?
Because Steve Cohen, the owner of the Mets, said he wasn't going above $750, and the talk is that is either Friday or Saturday that the Mets had a meeting with Soto, and they didn't think they were going to get him because they thought he was going to stay with the Yankees, and then at the last minute, Cohen said brought in the deal that he ended up signing, and that's what Soto went with. So that's even more telling to me about Soto.
Yeah.
Because the Yankees had that deal out there. A better deal than the Mets. And then once the Mets found out about the deal, they upped it.
I'll say this to wrap it up. The Subway Series is going to be a movie this year.
Electric.
And I'm looking at ticket prices.
When he comes to Yankee Stadium, that place is going to be nuts.
I'm looking at ticket prices for that game, and if I do find a good...
They're going to be high, I bet.
If I do find a good price in right field, that's where I'm going.
If both teams are decent, which they should be, that's going to be nuts.
You gotta get those tickets early if you want to go to that game.
Yeah.
But yeah, what an electric show that will be. All right, Dad, with the talk about Soto, we're moving on from the MLB for this week. Let's go into college football. How about a great championship weekend? And we have our playoff bracket. All right, Dad, here we are. College football playoffs are upon us, and it looks a little different. The formatting and the teams in this playoff.
Yeah, this is pretty awesome. We've got some different teams, not the same old 4 that we always seem to end up with. So this is great, yeah.
So we look at the matchups here for the first round. Clemson versus Texas. Arizona State receives a bye for winning their division, the Big 12. Tennessee and Ohio State, which I think will be a great game. Oregon will receive that bye and play the winner of that game. Boise State, ranked number 3, will play the winner of SMU and Penn State. And then you got Indiana and Notre Dame on the bottom playing Georgia, whoever wins that one. And, Dad, with the talk about new teams, is there one team in there that you notice is not there that stands out?
Yeah, it's got to be the Alabama Crimson Tide.
Right on. The Alabama Crimson Tide are the first team eliminated from this new format. And, Dad, let's go trivia here. This is what leads into it. So, in the Nick Saban college football playoff era, which was from 2014 to last year, the Alabama Crimson Tide were left out twice. Can you name the quarterbacks on those two teams that were left out?
Oh, boy. That's a tough one. You don't happen to have the years, do you?
Oh, I do. Would you like to hear them?
Yeah, that'll help. 2019
and 2022. And by the way, for 2019, there's two quarterbacks that you need to name.
2019. Tua.
Yep, that's one.
Was it Jalen Hurts?
No.
It was not.
That's the year he transferred to Oklahoma.
Oh, so who was the quarterback?
Backup. He is actually currently in the NFL as a backup, playing right now due to someone being injured.
Jeez, I should know that. Yeah. God, I'm not gonna think of it. Who is it?
Mac Jones.
Oh, jeez, Mac Jones. How did I forget him?
And then 2022 should be easy.
2022.
Only one quarterback here.
Jalen Milroe.
Nope.
2022. Oh, Tua.
No.
2022.
First overall pick.
Oh, jeez, Bryce Young.
There you go.
Yeah, well, that really wasn't as hard as I made it out to be, actually. But there's been so many of them drafted lately that it's hard to keep them all straight.
Oh, yeah, I agree with you there. So there's our little trivia with the Alabama Crimson Tide. Very interesting now how they are left out, and you can see the difference between Kalen DeBoer. I'm not saying he's a bad coach. He was very good at Washington, but no one is going to be Nick Saban. I mean, let's be honest. But we want to focus on the teams that are actually in these playoffs. No more talking about Alabama. We've heard enough from them over the past decade.
Yeah, we don't. They'll be back next year.
So let's get back to this bracket and take a look at each first round game by game. So let's get that pulled up again. So I want to take a look at our first game here. Clemson, who got the win in the ACC chip, are the only division winners in this to not receive the first round bye due to they are the first team to ever make the college football playoff with 3 losses, and they will be going against number 5 Texas. And let me be honest with you here, got to be careful making your choice on this one.
I think Clemson will give them a better game than you think, but I don't see any way that they beat Texas.
I agree with you.
But I think it will be closer than what people think.
I honestly think this will be a very close game, but it's going to end up, I feel like, with Texas running away with it near the end.
Absolutely.
So, Tennessee and Ohio State. I'm an Ohio State fan, but obviously I'm nervous. I mean, I'd be nervous for any playoff game, but this one is really tough.
This one, I think if the weather is normal Ohio December weather, I think Buckeyes win this game. If it's unusually warm, I can see this game going either way. You know what really intrigues me about this is,
what's that?
How is Ohio State ranked higher than Tennessee?
Don't they have the same record?
They have the same record. Tennessee beat Alabama, and they beat somebody else that was really good. And Ohio State didn't beat anybody that was good.
No. The only team we beat was freaking, Indiana?
They beat Indiana. I mean, Ohio State played close games with Oregon and Penn State. Oh, they beat Penn State.
Yeah, we beat Penn. There.
Yeah, so, all right. Penn State, Alabama, about the same. So,
Ohio State.
I guess you could give it to Ohio State.
Let me take Ohio State here, and honestly, I've been hearing from so much Oregon fans. They are heavily rooting for Tennessee. They're saying, we don't want a rematch against Ohio State. We saw that one last time, and it was a nail-biter. But I think obviously I'm going to say you're going to get a Big Ten championship rematch on the New Year's Day. You will get the rematch, Oregon, Ohio State Big Ten chip.
Yeah, that's why I don't really like that way they seeded it, because I don't want to see Ohio State and Oregon again either. That should have been a different team. They should have put Tennessee and Ohio State somewhere else. Those are probably the two best teams, with maybe Notre Dame, that's in that first round. And why is Oregon the number 1 seed?
Oregon
playing the two best
If
teams?
I'm putting Oregon somewhere, SMU, Penn State, I look at, and I also somewhat look at Clemson, Texas, but I think the main place I would put Oregon with this seeding is SMU, Penn State.
Yeah, but then you got the chance of having an Oregon, Penn State again. So I guess it's kind of tough, but
I say the best place you could have put them was probably that 11-6 matchup or that 10-7 matchup.
Yeah, I think I would have put them with Indiana and Notre Dame, put Georgia up there with Ohio State and Tennessee, or Georgia with Penn State, SMU.
Honestly,
you know?
Arizona State has a chance to play the highest seed playing in the first round. You look at that, and they're ranked number 4, so that makes sense. Georgia and Boise State. I guess this kind of makes sense. It's just
it's a little weird because,
and look at that. If we're gonna fast forward here for a second, look at that national championship date, January 20th. Wow, what a difference! Because that game is usually played like the weekend after
New Year's. Yeah, so it's usually like the 8th.
That is a crazy change due to these playoffs.
Yeah,
I like them though. I like this playoff a lot better.
I like it too.
Boise, and I want to get on the topic of the Heisman because I'm just looking at Boise State, and I'm getting mad that Travis Hunter is looked at as Heisman over Ashton Genty. I've been mad about that for a while.
It's all about.
You can disagree with me. These experts, quote unquote, can disagree with me. Ashton Genty gave his team a championship, a Mountain West championship. I couldn't remember the division name for a second, but he is the reason they won that championship. Without him, they're a mediocre team.
Oh, absolutely.
And if we go game by game, you can a lot of these guys, for no reason at all, I think it's pretty stupid. I don't know what you think, but a lot of these guys are giving Hunter an edge because of the competition he played. Now, of course, I give him that. Boise State didn't play much competition, but they played Oregon earlier this year, and he had the best game of his year against Oregon, the number 1 team.
Yeah, they played the number 1 team, and they almost beat them.
And Ashton Genty's best stat line, best game was from that game, I'm pretty sure.
I don't think he's had a bad game all season.
No.
So,
if Hunter gets the Heisman, this is just ridiculous.
He's going to get the Heisman.
This is so ridiculous.
He's getting the Heisman because he's unique. He can
Which
do
is
both.
stupid.
Well, that's what they do.
You can see that he plays both sides, and if he gets burnt every play at corner but plays great at wide receiver, they're gonna give it to him.
But he's been good at both.
Well, I know that. I'm saying like as a rhetorical situation.
Yeah, no. But
like,
yeah,
geez,
I wouldn't give it to him. But
do you want to know? Do you want to know what people are saying about that 11-6 SMU Penn State matchup? Look at the time that game is being played, and look at the team that's playing in that game. Noon. And Penn State, of course, it loves the noon games.
Oh, yeah.
And SMU is always playing later. So that also is another advantage towards Penn State.
Well, Penn State, when I look at it, Penn State made out better than any team. They've got SMU first round, then they get Boise State. No disrespect to Boise State in the second round. They should win both those games and just go right on into the semifinals. Meanwhile, Oregon, who beat Penn State for the Big Ten championship and is the number 1 seed, the only undefeated team,
that does not sit right.
Gets to play Ohio State or Tennessee.
That does not sit right with me at all.
It makes no sense. They've got to change it. The reason what they have to do if they're going to keep this 12-team thing, they can't give they can let the conference champions into the playoffs, but they can't give them the byes.
Yeah.
That's messing it up. Boise State, Arizona State should not be getting byes.
No.
Penn State, Texas,
And
they should be getting byes.
Clemson won their division. They didn't get the bye because what? They were the worst division winner.
Yeah. They were the worst. Yeah, they were the worst conference winner.
Yeah. That is a weird format. I like what their idea is. I just think it needs a couple tweaks.
Yeah, they need to tweak it. I think they probably will do that, but I guess we'll have to wait and see how it goes, though. So you just never know on these things, but it's exciting. It's a nice change, and instead of watching some meaningless bowl games on December 20th, you've got
playoffs.
You got playoffs,
Which is great.
And it's great.
So, with looking at the playoffs, looking at the Heisman race, I think that's about all we need to look at for college right now.
Yeah, and we got a little break. We got the Army-Navy game next week, and that's it. So
I'm going to be looking forward to that game this year. Army-Navy deserves their credit this year.
They're both good.
They are both really good, and honestly, me and you love watching that game, even though they're not known for being explosive offensive teams.
It's very unique style, and it means so much to both teams. You listen.
I mean, you always have Mad Dog on the radio, right? So on every Monday, you hear Gary Danielson on there. I think almost weekly he mentions that Army-Navy game because he loves commentating that game because him and Brad have it like every year.
Yeah, and they just love it because it means so much to the players. They're not playing for a championship or anything, but it's just it means so much to them.
It's great to see them play every year because for the very most part, like 95%, they are great sports to each other.
Yeah, it's a great game, and it's just different. And there's no cheap stuff going on. There's no showboating.
Yeah,
there's none of that stuff. It's just football, and it's
football and only football.
It's refreshing, actually. So.
I like that. So with that being said, going over MLB and college football so far, we're back on schedule to the NFL now, where we had great games, and the game of the year at 4:25 yesterday was Rams-Bills. We'll get to that a little later. I want to go over Thursday, Lions-Packers. That one was great. I loved that game. We knew looking at the teams and their success in the past few weeks, we knew this game would be close and, a divisional rival game. And oh my goodness, I'm going to tell you this. Dan Campbell is a freaking madman. He's in sure range for Bates. For Bates to kick the go-ahead field goal. And you want to know what he says? He doesn't want the Packers to get the ball back at all. He wants to win that game with triple zeros on the clock. So what does he do? 4th and inches from what, like the 30-yard line?
Yeah.
He goes out there. He tells Jared Goff, we're going for this. Give the ball to Montgomery, and we're getting this and winning the game after this play. And that's exactly what he did. It didn't come pretty. May have been purposely executed, may have been not. Goff fell on his knee, still got the handoff off, and that was the game.
Yeah, he got a little lucky, but it worked. Yeah, he's just nuts like that. That's just how he's going to play. In a regular season, I mean, he went for almost every 4th down in that game. He went for it on his own 20-yard line or 30-yard line, and they didn't get it.
Yeah,
and that let the Packers get right down and get a touchdown. But and I love that style, but we saw last year.
He's got to be careful.
He's got to be a little smarter with it in the come playoff time.
It's the regular season, and they're really good. So
I think he will be this year smarter with it.
He should be. I hope he would learn his lesson from that San Fran game.
Yeah, he's got to. But it's great. It's great for TV, though. You gotta love it.
Dan Campbell. I mean, I say this a lot, but I give credit to the Lions a lot because even though that his first season as a coach, he only won 2 games, and
yeah.
But the Lions could see something there. Normally with these other franchises, if the first year head coach is not getting success like at all, they're gone. We need success right now. But the Lions are different because Campbell had one of the worst seasons probably in Lions history, record-wise. But if you look at that one win, their first win of the season against the Vikings, and the fact that Goff went right over to Campbell and they celebrated together, that front office could tell that Campbell was bringing something to the team, and it would all work out in the end. And that's what we're seeing right now.
Yeah, it's just that team plays right through his image.
And let's be honest,
great.
The next year they didn't start off good at all, and then they started going on this huge winning streak. And I think what really showed the front office how this guy Campbell is like, early in a Week 18 game, earlier they had a chance to get in that playoff actually, but some scenario happened. I think it was the Seahawks winning, which allowed the Packers to get a chance to get in, and the Lions were already mathematically eliminated before the game started. But what do? This is a divisional game. So Campbell, in that locker room, I can only imagine, but he is telling his guys, we may be eliminated, but we're not letting the Packers get in that easily. And that's exactly how it came up. And they eliminated the Packers in Rodgers' final year as a Packer, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it was. And yeah, that's just who they are now. And great decision by them keeping him as coach, and it paid off big time. And they're going to be good for a long time. Whether they win a Super Bowl or not, I don't know, but they're going to be right there, and you got to love it. It's just great football to watch.
Also, I'm also very happy for Jared Goff. Like when Detroit played the Rams, the big story everyone was talking about with that game in the playoffs and Week 1, Stafford's coming back to Detroit in a playoff game. Detroit has a chance to win their first playoff game in years, which are all valid stories coming into that game. But the one story that they forgot was that man Jared Goff. He got dealt to the Lions in return for Stafford. It was like a no-brainer for Sean McVay. No-brainer. He didn't think twice about it. They won a Super Bowl out of it, so I guess it was worth it. But you look at the Lions now, you look at Goff, I mean, it's hard to not root for that guy.
Yeah, no, he's great. He's been great for them, and it worked out good for both teams. It's one of those rare
let's be
traits.
honest here. You look at Goff with the Rams. It may not have been because of him, but that he's played in a Super Bowl before.
Yeah.
So what a great game for the Lions. Packers, of course, they didn't get the win they really wanted against this team, but when it comes playoff time, I think Packers will be just fine. They'll probably get a win in the wild card because that's where they'll be. They're not winning that division now.
No.
But yeah, I really like this Packers team going forward as well. This division in general is going to be great for the years to come.
Yeah, it should be.
And even though the Bears record doesn't say it this year, once Caleb Williams gets an offensive line and consistent coaching, that team will be good as well.
Yeah.
You got the Vikings, Packers, Lions, and Bears who all have a chance to build great franchises. And they're all in the same division. I mean, there's a chance in the coming years that we see all four of those teams and make the playoffs.
It's possible. Unlikely.
But I'm just saying.
But it's definitely possible.
You look at that. I mean, the Packers, many people didn't think of it as much because they had Aaron Jones at the time, but picking up Josh Jacobs has been huge for them.
Yeah, he's playing like possessed almost. He wants to win. He's never won anything with the Raiders. He's on a team that can win.
So it's a breath of fresh air for him.
Yeah, absolutely.
So with that being said, there's your Thursday night game. Let's go into now the Steelers and Browns on the 1:00 game on CBS. The Steelers and Browns met earlier this year, 2 weeks ago actually, on Thursday night. Didn't get the result they wanted. Browns come to the Steelers territory, and scoreboard made it look closer than it actually was.
Yeah, it was a little. I mean, Steelers got off to another slow start first quarter there, but then in the second quarter they finally got going a little bit. and got their offense going. And then third quarter, you see they put the game away.
Yeah, when Winston got that first touchdown pass to Judy, I was like, oh boy, here we go again.
Yeah.
And
but as Jameis does, he gives it right back. So
I mean, I see what people are saying about Winston turning the ball over too much, but you look at the passes he's throwing with the running backs he has. I mean, he's throwing 40 passes a game. Last week against the Broncos, he threw over like 55 passes. At some point, you got to be like, yeah, he's due for a mistake if he's throwing that much passes a game. And I get Nick Chubb's coming off injury, and you don't want to rush him, but that's when you use Jerome Ford and kind of like even it out, because when Chubb was gone the whole year last year, Jerome Ford played great football.
yeah, well, they couldn't run the ball very well. That's why I think they went passing. But.
Yeah, they did. I'm just saying they've been doing that a lot this year. And I mean, with Winston, this is his first year with the Browns. I mean, he's obviously not going to be master with his playbook. So I'm trying to defend him a little bit here.
Yeah,
I get he makes bad decisions sometimes, but at the same time, I mean, you look at what the Browns are making him do. It's just hard to ask for a lot with 41 passes this week and 56 or something last week.
Yeah, no, yeah. But at this point in his career, we kind of know what he is. So I mean,
imagine him without those turnovers.
Well, that's just it. He's always thrown for a lot of yards and touchdowns. He just cannot stop turning the ball over.
Yeah,
and I don't know what it is. I don't know if he just takes if he's a risk taker, or if he just doesn't see things sometimes. I'm not sure what it is, but yeah, I mean, there were times yesterday where he looked great.
Yeah.
You're like, oh my God, this guy's why is he not starting? But then it just changes. The next time they get the ball, it's completely different. So.
All right, yeah, I see what you're saying. Let's not put this all on Winston though. A familiar face who came to the Browns from the Chiefs, returned for what he is known for, blowing games, and that would be Mr. Kadarius Toney. And the fact that he played 2 snaps at punt returner and made 2 mistakes it's just like, at this point, I feel bad for the guy.
Yeah, he's just, I don't know.
The first one he gets I mean, I'm going to be honest, looking back at it, I see why they called it, but at the same time, it was kind of a weak taunting call, because Skoranek was talking to him, and then it's not like Tony chucked the ball at him. He kind of like lightly gave it a toss.
They called that all the time, though.
Do you know what I've noticed with these unsportsmanlike penalties? They use the retaliation. The person who retaliates first always gets the penalty.
Yeah, it's always that way.
And honestly, I think that needs to be fixed, because why is the antagonizer getting away with all of that?
It's always been that way, and I just think they don't always see or hear what the other guy did to start it.
Probably.
So they just react to the more. Usually, the guy that retaliates sometimes that's a more egregious thing.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
So they have to call it, and that's what happens.
And then the second one, he muffs it, which is more of a football play. I mean, honestly though, I feel like just because of last season, the hate that the Chiefs gave that guy, I mean, obviously I see why, right? But the year before, look at him in that Super Bowl game against the Eagles. You could say he's the reason they won that Super Bowl. He had a crazy punt return, and then on that same drive, the touchdown. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, Kadarius Toney is the stat owner of the longest punt return in Super Bowl history. So, I mean, I get where the guy, it's just sad, I guess, is what I'm trying to say, how his career took a very bad turn based on his performance on the field.
Yeah, it's too bad. I mean, he had his moment in the sun, and then it was gone. And I don't know if he'll.
It's crazy because he wasn't even like that bad as a Gator. I remember watching him in college.
No, he was good. That's why he was a high draft pick.
Yeah.
And but
sometimes it just happens.
It just happens that way.
But with that being said, Steelers pick up a big win, 27-14. We obviously got to get into Bills Rams. That's game of the year right there, I'd say.
That was a great game. The Rams kept going up by like 10, 17. Bills come back, score, then back up to like 10, then
Yep.
and finally in the fourth quarter, I thought, well, geez, they're up by 17. No, they're going to get this. But the Bills come right back down and make it. It's a 3-point game all of a sudden. And then I thought, well, the Bills are going to win this.
Yeah.
And then
Puka Nacua,
the Rams score again, and that old guy, that familiar thing that just seems to prop up and stop the Bills right in their tracks. Good old Sean McDermott.
Really? His defense you talking about?
No, his decision making.
Oh.
His decision
The
making.
timeout?
The timeout. He might be the reason why they don't ever win a Super Bowl with Josh Allen. If they don't, it'll be because of him, I think. Because he's not good at in-game decision making. He's not good.
The playoff appearances are that's what sugarcoating his job. That's the only reason he's like a secure coach right now with Buffalo. But if you watch this guy's coaching, even last year, it's not good sometimes. I mean, his decision making is just, like you said, awful. So, yeah, that was, and obviously he's running that defense, and they played very bad yesterday.
Yeah, they didn't play good. But I mean, they have played decent all season, though.
Yeah.
I just think the Rams do that sometimes. So I'm not really gonna get on the defense as much as you are.
Well, I mean, the Rams. I've been saying that the Rams. Every team a lot of teams that end up playing the Rams, this year, they go, look at record, go, easy win. We got the Rams. No, because they got Stafford, they got Kyron Williams, Kupp, Nacua. They got a lot of playmakers on offense, and people forget they were injured really early in the season. I think Kupp and Nacua got injured either in the same game or back-to-back.
It's almost a carbon copy of last year. The same thing. Mm-hmm. They had injuries. They get off to the start, they're like 6-6, same thing as this year. Now they're 7-6, and I mean, they're
still there. Yeah,
they're only a game out of first place.
They get on that winning streak, they can sneak into the playoffs like they did last year.
Like I've said on this show before, Matthew Stafford he's just a gutsy quarterback. He's a Super Bowl winner, and he just knows how to make plays. You can't ever count him out. He's getting towards the end of his career, but he's still really good. And, he's about the same age as Russell Wilson, I think. So,
yep. There you go. One last game. The Chiefs, once again, win their division, and it ends in the most Chiefs ending possible. It's a 31-yard chip shot for Matthew Wright to give them the division.
Yep.
It's in a lot of wind, so he kicks it. It hits off the post, and it goes in.
And for a second, you see it hit that, and you're like, no, it's not going to go in. Yeah, it goes in. It has to go in because it's the Chiefs, right?
Guarantee you, all 31 NFL teams, if that happened to them, just the luck of the draw, that's going right to the turf, and it's no good. But had it happened, oh my gosh, a 31-yarder that hits the post and goes in, that is about the most Kansas City Chiefs thing you can think of right there.
You got. I mean, they're 12-1, and they should not be 12-1. They should be about 8-5, 9-4.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just unbelievable.
How do they keep doing it?
Their luck has got to run out pretty soon, I would hope. But geez, they just games that they should not be winning. They're winning on these last second plays, and I'm getting sick of it. I hope it ends soon. Yeah. That's all I can say.
Me too. Yeah. Chargers, it seems like they're always close in these games. And honestly, I think if Herbert, I know how you mentioned Matthew Stafford is a warrior and he's just in there and in there. I'm seeing similarities with Herbert.
Yeah.
Yesterday he re-injured that ankle that he's been favoring pretty much all year long. He stays in that game and finishes it. And he almost got the W.
Yeah, he's really good. I like him. He's tough, and
it's just the Chargers, man.
This is even Whether Jim Harbaugh's there or whoever the coach is, this is what they do. They lose these last-second games.
Yeah.
It's what they've always done. No matter who the quarterback is, no matter what the coach is, they seem to always be either just ahead or just behind.
Chargers' future has got to be bright, though. They got to be.
They're going to be.
They got to be like so happy that they're looking at Harbaugh with the headset rather than Brandon Staley.
Oh, absolutely, they're going to be good. But it just seems to be the Charger way.
All right, Dad, into plays of the week. The first play is a block punt by the Rams. They still are trying to scoop it up, and they have it. And Long is in. Touchdown, L.A.
What a crazy game.
Coming from Clemson and SMU, Noah Hauser's kick is up from 56 yards to crown Clemson ACC champs. And let me tell you, looking at this kid's reaction, he knew it was going in.
Oh, that was awesome to see. What a great game.
And coming from Chiefs and Chargers, it's a special teams plays of the week. Matthew Wright from 31 hits off the post and goes in. It goes in to win the AFC West. And if you're looking at that and thinking, man, that's the most Chiefs kick I've ever seen.
Absolutely. It's crazy.
Here we go. One more look at it. And the fact that it's from chip shot range makes it even more fitting, doesn't it, Dad?
It does. I can't believe it. I was watching that live, and I'm like, he's a backup kicker. He might shank that or something. And then when I see it going left, I'm like, he's gonna miss that, and then it hits and goes in. I'm like, oh, you gotta be kidding me!
Oh my goodness, what an ending to a fantastic game. Coming from Dolphins and Jets, Dad, Tua Tagovailoa takes a snap. He's looking and throwing to Jonnu Smith for the win. Touchdown, Dolphins.
What a win from the Dolphins. Overtime.
A gritty, gutty win, and Jonnu Smith, who's been playing great football, ends it.
And just another bad loss for the Jets.
Here we go. Josh Allen and the Bills take the snap. Josh Allen throws over the middle, caught by Shakir. And Shakir, oh, he's so fast, going by the defense, breaks 2 tackles for the touchdown.
What a great play from Shakir. He is so fast.
He's one of the more underrated players on this Bills team. When Allen needs a big player, a big guy to make a play, he usually calls on that man right there, number 10. Coming from Seahawks and Cardinals, Geno Smith takes a snap, hands off to Charbonnet, and Charbonnet is through the Cardinals defense. Zach Charbonnet, touchdown Seattle. And when Kenneth Walker is down, this guy seems to always step up.
Yeah, what a play. I didn't think he had that kind of speed. He showed me something there.
Well, Dad, ending the podcast right there. We are now ending it with 2 segments. So first, who is your biggest disappointment and your best performer from this week of sports?
My best performer is Josh Allen. 3 touchdowns rushing, 3 touchdowns passing. Great game. Comes up 2 points short, but, he couldn't do any more. Great game by him. And my disappointment is Kirk Cousins. Going back home to Minnesota, getting outplayed massively by Sam Darnold. Throws 2 picks. I think Kirk Cousins might be done. It's not looking good for him. He's my biggest disappointment.
You might see Michael Penix step in for the Falcons. For me, my biggest disappointment has got to be the Texas Longhorns, and in specific, Quinn Ewers. He did not play the best game he could have. Turned the ball over twice. Didn't really throw that great. He is my biggest disappointment. Has a chance to make up for it in the playoffs, but that SEC championship was just not his game. My best performer is the guy we just saw break out that big run against the Cardinals, Zach Charbonnet. He deserves his flowers. Kenneth Walker has been injured a little too much this season, but lucky for Seattle, whenever he is down, Zach Charbonnet seems to always put up a great game, great stat line, and he was the difference maker for the Seahawks yesterday in that win over Arizona. So he is my best performance of the week.
I agree. Good one.
So, and our final one, before we end this podcast. What are your predictions, or what games would you like to predict? My first game I'm going to say is the Steelers and Eagles. We have to. And any more? Probably Bills-Lions, right?
Bills-Lions. Yeah, those two are the ones. I'll go first. I'm going Steelers. Tough defensive game, I think, in Philadelphia. I've got the Steelers winning 20-17. And the Bills game, I believe, is in Detroit. I got Detroit winning that. A lot of points, I think. Again, kind of a similar game to the Rams game. I got Detroit 35-31.
I like those predictions. So, for me, I'm going to go Steelers. Of course, I have to go with them by heart, but it seems like there's some trouble in paradise brewing in Philly, and of course, it's again the week that they play us, so I'm kind of feeling good about that with A.J. Brown not being happy right now, currently with the offense, specifically the passing. I think the Steelers, this is in Philly, right? I think the Steelers can go into Philly and put up a great fight. And this one, there's going to be scoring, but there's not going to be much scoring, if you know what I'm saying. So I'll go Steelers win 23 to 16, or 23-17, I'll say. Steelers win that one. And Bills-Lions, I agree, a lot of points will be scored in that one. Give me Detroit, 34-30.
I agree.
Well, that will do it for today's podcast. Once again, I'm your host, Preston, alongside of my father, Mike, and we will see you guys on the next episode. Thank you for watching.